One of the things I believed I could most respect about the kink communities was their professed willingness to be accepting of and tolerant of people of variant sexualities without judgment, censorship. I've been judged and censored. I posted the video that I made. I'll put the link in the underwear. I posted the video that I made pulling my tooth at FetLife, specifically in FetLife, New Mexico, because I need people to understand that I already know something about pain and humiliation, that my body is broken, that I am digging up from really deep depths of poverty, deprivation, isolation. So I posted the video. They deleted it. They said it wasn't appropriate. There are pictures and videos on that website. Well, you wouldn't see them on YouTube. And my little YouTube video of me pulling my tooth got blocked because it's not appropriate, because it doesn't address their definition of what sexuality and stuff is. I tried to tell them something profound about mine. I grew up believing that I didn't have a right to my own body. At last gynecological examination, when the woman put her finger deliberately over the scar on my genitals and said she couldn't see anything, and said that the nerve damage that I was feeling was psychosomatic. So my sexuality has been controlled and monitored from a very early age. The messages that I got were, I don't get to be strong. I don't get to make choices. I don't get to be in charge of my life. That my mind and my body belong to somebody else, and they were better suited as professionals or as men or as clergy or as doctors or as professors. They were more capable of making decisions about me and my body and my mind than I am. I tried to negotiate with a guy today to do some very serious work on my sexuality, going back to the incest, going back to the early incest. I'll call the guy Santa. Friendly, warm, gentle. I began a private conversation with him today about what it is I want to do. See, I want to begin mastery. I want to be strong. I am strong. I want to be strong without qualification. I want to be decisive without qualification. I want to trust my own native intuition and intellect and experience. And there are some things that get in the way of that, and that's the internalized messages of self-hatred. And part of that has to do with the incest. I don't feel dirty because I was incested. I know I was a victim. I know I was a victim. I don't feel guilt or shame, none of that. Buried deep is a kernel of not being able to own my body because the incest was sexually pleasurable. It was a profound emotion. It was joyful. And I would go into a trance of pure bliss. And then one or the other of my parents, whichever one was doing it to me, would make the mistake of speaking, bring me out of my trance, and I would plummet into a pit below sea level, a dark, jagged place. of terror and self-hatred and guilt and shame. And I would split from my body so that I couldn't feel my body anymore. I spent about the first 10, 15 years of my adult womanhood under the influence of drugs and alcohol in order to achieve orgasm. I finally processed through that. I went through the shame and guilt of being attracted to women. And then when I was in the lesbian community, I went through the shame and guilt of being attracted to men. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was a whore. I thought I was all that stuff that has nothing to do with me. It's all that stuff coming in at me. The attacks on my sexuality, the attacks on my psychology. Finally, somebody invented a word for me that fits close. Pansexual. The configuration of my loved one's genitals have nothing to do with my capacity to love them. It's not about gender. I appreciate the package that the person comes in, but I don't exclude partners based on that packaging. The only problem I have with the word pansexual is that it's pansexual. I wish it was panamorous, because my sexuality is based on love, and it's hard won. Okay. I want to study mastery. I'm not interested in this because I'm bored. Because the spice and romance have gone out of my sex life. That is not true. I want to do this because I love someone who needs to be able to let go. Because everywhere else in her life, she has to be in control. And when she's behind closed doors, she needs to float. She needs to be contained. She needs to be free. And the only way I can give her that is to have self-discipline, to understand the physical sensations she goes through, to respect them. And even if I can't feel what she feels, I need to know how to apply the sensations well. I also need to know how to keep my eyes open, pay attention to her responses, to be able to anticipate her need. That's skill, and that's something you learn by doing. You can't read it to death. You learn it by doing. That's why I joined this community out here, so I could learn by doing. But I'm seeing some really superficial stuff. I see really superficial stuff in whatever community I join. So I shared with Santa today some very sacred stuff about my sexuality. The stuff I told you about the incest in bigger detail. And he turned around, completely blew past what I had told him. What he got out of what I told him was that I'm willing to do X, Y, and Z sexual behavior. He turned around without acknowledging the gift that I had given him of trust or respecting my situation and the serious work I'm trying to do, he turned around and asked me whether I would be willing to submit to being posed in really ridiculous, silly positions. If I would be willing to eat out of a dog bowl on the floor with my hands tied behind my back, and if I would be willing to gratify him on demand, and blah, 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 blah. No, not the point. He said, well, if you want her to do this stuff and you want to be her master, I don't want her to do that stuff. I know humiliation, baby. I know it better than you ever will. This is no parlor trick I'm playing here. I'm poor. I know about pain and humiliation. That story about my teeth, I know about pain and humiliation. I know about pain. I already know. I know about endurance. I know about strength. And I know about letting go. I need to learn some techniques. I need to discuss it with him. I had one person who asked me what skills I wanted to learn and so on. I ticked off a few and I said, I need to find out more about M. And the person wrote back and said, this isn't about M. Yes, I know this. I know it's not about M. However, it's definitely about me. This is something I want to do so that I will be capable of taking care of M the way M needs to be taken care of. If I'm trying to learn how to cook, to feed children in a battered women's shelter, I don't need to waste time on French cuisine and what wine goes with what meal. I need to know how to prepare bedrock, nutritious, beautiful, attractive food for deprived children without a whole lot of money or fancy frills, because it's a lot of kids and there's not much time and there's no staff and there's a little budget. I don't need to know all the frills and garnish. I need to know the basics. I need to know self-control. I need to know empathetic response. I need to know aftercare. I need to know tenderness. And you know what? I already do. I will continue to research and explore the kink community. I will continue a dialogue with M so that I know the things that she enjoys. But I'll tell you what, M is not in the closet about any of this. There are websites and blogs with written information and with photographs. It's a pretty broad range of photographs of behaviors. Recently, M sent me photographs of which she's the most proud and videos that she likes the best. And none of them have her on the floor eating out of the dog do, or in ridiculous positions, or being forced to gratify somebody. None of them. The photos of which she's the most proud, she's beautiful, and she's smiling, and she's free, and she's laughing, and she's running, and she's swinging. Now, I may be misinterpreting what M is showing me. M can endure a lot more to show that she is loyal, but what M is showing me is a very beautiful thing. And what Santa Claus asked for was not. Now, Santa can go do what Santa needs to do with Santa's little elves. I'm cool. And yeah, I've had this fantasy about working out the incest stuff with somebody who would portray the perpetrator. I'm going to assess whether that's still something I want to do. Because so far, I'm not seeing anybody who's worthy of my trust, of my body, of the profundity of the situation. I want to reclaim that joy that was stolen from that little girl. The power of my sexuality. Now, do I really need to do that with a stranger? Do I really need to do that with a man? No. I'm not saying I'm not going to go hang out with those people and learn what's what. And there's a lot of beautiful and joyful stuff about that. I just mistook somebody who looks kindly for somebody who is kindly. He's not worthy. I did have another conversation with another person today, and I think M would have really appreciated this. I was driving my truck to a nearby town in the sun, wearing this black shirt with the sun on my chest as if I were holding her to me, and I went past some cows that were lolling in the shade of a billboard, and a huge flock of crows flew up from a farm where they had finally taken in all the corn stalks to pile up to compost them. So there was this big mound of corn stalks, and these crows all in it pecking through looking for corn, and it was like a cloud of crows came up. And as I was driving, I was listening to Singing Wire, the Native American music on KUNM, and a song came on called Sunflower. I'll try to find it and play a section of it for you. And I met with this man. He's a friend of Nancy's. Nancy's the one who has that really nice house where the party was. He's staying with her. He just moved here from Arizona. And we talked for a very, very long time. And I can learn things. And I felt comfortable. We just sat in the parking lot at the grocery store talking for a couple of hours. And then I came in here and started talking to Santa, and it's just kind of sad. I'm reading you the last of what I wrote to Santa. Please understand, I'm emerging from a serious, life-threatening trauma, that I am physically weakened, and that I need time. My motivation in owning M is her liberation, not her degradation. She needs relief from responsibilities, and I crave taking on responsibility, being trusted, protecting her. She needs me to relieve her burden. In exchange, she's a natural-born caretaker. My desire to master is to access my strength, stop this insane addiction to self-hatred, stop doubting my own competence. My sexual trauma, religious upbringing, etc. have a lot to do with that, not to mention sexism and homophobia. I've been conditioned and habituated by bullshit that has nothing to do with who I really am. At my most fundamental level, my sexuality, my womanhood. I will be free of that garbage or die trying. Now, your sadism may be a good teacher. I may learn to clarify the external factors that have mutilated my sexuality literally and figuratively. On the other hand, I've been treated with so much indifference, gleeful cruelty this past year. I don't know if my poor heart can take much more, truly. My 3 best friends, my goats, are lost as a result. After all I went through to keep us all safe, I don't know if I can ever forgive betraying their trust by asking someone to temporarily board them who was irresponsible or criminal. Do you see the sexual analogy? Something innocent and sweet and pure and sexual and playful that was taken from me by irresponsible people. I think you have other women with whom you can play deeper games, who are in less grief than I am right now, who can please you in this area far better than I. I've been and still am surrounded by harsh words, hateful looks, threats to my life, my animals' lives, my property, my right to be alive. I'm hated here, treated like a suspect any time I venture into town. I have no safe space, not even inside my own trailer. I hate stepping outside unless it's to get in my truck, drive right through this nasty little town to go somewhere else for errands, amusements, etc. I need a soft place. I don't need to be afraid anymore, beyond the natural apprehension of how badly is this going to hurt and can I take it. People scream, curse, throw things at, mock, ridicule, verbally abuse, and threaten me at least once a week in this town. They'd do it more often if I stepped outside more often. See, I have no sanctuary. There is no safe place on this planet for me. I'm all alone. Nobody comforts me. Nobody cares if I hurt. Nobody cares that I'm even alive. I'm saying in my physical proximity, not out there in the world. There are people who love me very much, and there are people, even just people on this channel that barely know me, who respect me a heck of a lot more than Santa Claus does. Nobody cares if I'm alive. I don't want to bring that to my already mutilated sexuality. If I work very, very hard, push myself on potential employers until doors begin to open, work assiduously on my health, and build my strength. I hope to walk off a plane at an airport 60 miles by train to M's house in England sometime in the next 3 years. I need to love this woman that much. I need to do it well. I need to step off that plane clean of the filth that was ground into my sexuality and my self-confidence. When I walk off that plane, my mouth will be clean so I can seriously and deeply kiss her. My arms, back, and legs will be strong enough to bind her and suspend her so she can swing free even of gravity and fly deep into her own quiet space and be free. When I walk off that plane, I'll be able to pay English taxes, understand English customs, economics, and politics well enough to decide for the both of us what is best for our household. When I walk off that plane, M will have a protector, a strong, soft place, shelter, sanctuary, and relief. I am devoting my life to the process of learning to love her completely. Nothing is more important than loving M, especially not me. I have to purge the sicknesses in me. I have to will myself healthy and strong. I have to cure myself. I want to withstand and understand pain. I may never be able to submit to the point of being able to achieve subspace as a psychological fact. I want to know what she'll feel on the way to that place. If I feel it, I'll respect her even more for enduring it herself. She humbles me. Her growing trust is a sacred honor to me. I need to be worthy and capable, not weak, undisciplined, and untrustworthy. I am an atheist. I don't worship anything or anybody. But whatever this kind of love is I feel for M, I didn't even know I've been waiting my entire life to commit to something this worthy of my total devotion. I will do whatever it takes to be worthy of her. Do you get it now?